Beneath the domes of gleaming marble and the echoes of courtly poetry, the Mughal Empire once stood as the crown jewel of the Indian subcontinent. For centuries, it commanded awe across the world. An empire of immense wealth, unmatched architecture, and sophisticated administration. Yet, like many great empires, its decline came not from one fatal blow, but from a series of cracks, some subtle, others catastrophic. Cracks born not of fate, but of human error. This is the story of the Mughal Empire's shocking downfall, and the key mistakes that led to its collapse. The Mughal Empire was founded in 1526 by Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan. Under rulers like Akbar the Great, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan, it expanded rapidly. The empire reached its zenith under Aurangzeb in the late 17th century, covering nearly all of India and housing over 150 million people. But the seeds of decline were already being sown. One of the most critical missteps was Aurangzeb's religious intolerance. Unlike his great-grandfather Akbar, who embraced pluralism and promoted Hindu-Muslim harmony, Aurangzeb reversed course. He reimposed the jizya tax on non-Muslims, destroyed temples, and alienated the vast Hindu majority. His policies fractured the social fabric of the empire and ignited rebellion, most notably the rise of the Marathas in the Deccan. These uprisings drained the treasury and forced the empire into endless warfare, weakening its grip on its vast territories. Then came military overextension. Aurangzeb spent the last decades of his reign in a brutal campaign in southern India, far from the empire's heartland. Though he conquered the Deccan sultanates, the cost was immense. His armies were bogged down in a never-ending cycle of siege and rebellion. The military campaigns consumed resources that could have been used to reinforce administration and infrastructure. Meanwhile, succession crises plagued the empire. Unlike Europe, the Mughal tradition did not designate a clear heir. Instead, sons of the emperor often went to war with each other to claim the throne. These bloody contests destabilized the central authority and opened opportunities for regional governors to assert independence. As the 18th century dawned, the empire faced another fatal flaw: decentralization. Powerful nobles, or mansabdars, were granted land and authority in exchange for military service. But over time, many of these nobles acted like independent rulers, collecting taxes and raising armies of their own. The emperor's influence became symbolic, a figurehead surrounded by opportunists. Add to that the slow collapse of the administrative system. Under Akbar, the Mughal bureaucracy was a model of efficiency. But by the time of later rulers, corruption and nepotism had hollowed it out. Tax collection became erratic. Infrastructure deteriorated. Famine and poverty increased. The imperial court remained lavish while the countryside rotted. Then came foreign invasions. Another nail in the coffin. In 1739, Nader Shah of Persia invaded India, defeating the Mughal army and sacking Delhi. He looted the Peacock Throne, the Koh-i-Noor diamond, and left the empire humiliated. This invasion shattered the illusion of Mughal invincibility. Just a few decades later, Ahmad Shah Durrani, founder of the Afghan Durrani Empire, launched repeated raids into northern India, further bleeding Mughal power. Delhi became a city of broken palaces and constant fear, but perhaps the final, most tragic mistake was failing to adapt. As European powers, especially the British, gained a foothold in India through trade, the Mughals remained aloof. They underestimated the East India Company. By the mid-18th century, British influence began to overshadow that of the imperial court. The company started to interfere in politics, pit princes against one another, and ultimately took administrative control. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked a turning point, not just for Bengal, but for the subcontinent. Though the Mughals still held nominal authority, real power had slipped through their fingers. By the early 19th century, the Mughal emperor was a puppet under British control, his reach extending no further than the Red Fort's crumbling walls. And in 1857, after the Indian Rebellion, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, the last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was exiled to Burma. With him, the empire died. Not with a bang, but a whisper. So what caused the collapse of one of history's most powerful dynasties? It wasn't just British expansion. It wasn't just military defeat. It was a chain of misjudgments, religious intolerance, overreach, administrative decay, infighting, and a refusal to evolve with a changing world. The story of the Mughal downfall is a cautionary tale of how empires are not only conquered from the outside, but can also collapse from within, of how even the greatest legacies can be undone if their foundations are neglected, and of how power, once taken for granted, can vanish like smoke in the wind. The Mughal Empire left behind timeless architecture, rich culture, and a lasting impact on South Asia's identity. But it also left behind the haunting echo of what could have been, if only its rulers had listened to history as it unfolded around them.